Hello everyone, this is Rick. Welcome to an episode where we will discuss about the Tughlaq dynasty of the Delhi Sultanate. In our last video, we have discussed about the Khaljis. So if you want to understand this video in a much better way, then please go through my previous videos in this playlist. Now this video is catered according to the syllabus of class 7 ICSE board. However, anyone interested in this topic can go through this video. From any other board also, this video will be helpful to you. And the last portion of this video contains some question and answers. It will help you to understand this chapter in a better way. So let's begin with the Tughlaqs. Introduction. So in 1320 CE, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq killed the last Khalji ruler and founded the Tughlaq dynasty. So Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was the ruler who killed the last ruler of the Khalji in 1320 CE and established the Tughlaq dynasty. The Tughlaq dynasty ruled Delhi for nearly 100 years. So this dynasty hereditarily ruled Delhi for about 100 years. Two powerful sultans from this dynasty were Muhammad bin Tughlaq and Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So these are the prominent rulers of the Tughlaq dynasty. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, also known as Ghazi Malik, was the founder. So founder, as we have already said, in 1320 CE, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq killed the last Khilji ruler and founded the Tughlaq dynasty. The chapter covers the Tughlaq dynasty, the invasion of Timur, and Sayyid and Lodhi dynasties. So all these things we will study in this chapter. The Sayyid and the Lodhi dynasties will be studied in a separate video. The Tughlaq dynasty gradually weakened and was succeeded by other dynasties. So like all other dynasties of the Delhi Sultanate, there was rise and fall of the Tughlaq dynasty also. The Tughlaqs played a crucial role in shaping the medieval history of India. So the Tughlaqs played one of the most important roles in shaping the medieval history of India. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Now, who was this Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq and how was he important? So, he was the founder of the Tughlaq dynasty, and after a series of turmoil in the throne of Delhi Sultanate, he is the one who restored peace. He was an efficient administrator and a capable military commander. So he was not only the founder of Tughlaq dynasty, he was a very efficient administrator and also a good military strategician. He is also known as Ghiyat al-Din Tughlaq or Ghazi Malik. So this is the other name given to him. There are two other names, Ghiyat al-Din Tughlaq or Ghazi Malik. He introduced several reforms for public welfare and to suppress the revolts. So he did a lot for the good of the public, and during his time there were many revolts in different parts of the Delhi Sultanate. So he also had to pay a lot of attention in suppressing those revolts. In CE 1323 to 1324, he died when a roof of the reception hall collapsed over his head. So he died basically because of an accident. Now, was this accident manufactured? Because the reception hall collapsed as he returned from a Bengal campaign. So he was the winner of Bengal campaign, and when he returned to Delhi, to celebrate his victory, there was a reception hall constructed. However, the reception hall broke down and the roof fell over his head and he was dead. The hall was built by his son Jona Khan to celebrate the victory. So this may have been a manufactured accident by Jauna Khan, because after the death of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, Jauna Khan became the Sultan as Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So he assumed the name Muhammad bin Tughlaq and became the Sultan after the supposed accident of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Now, who was Muhammad bin Tughlaq? He received the title of Ulugh Khan from Ghiyasuddin for his services and was the most learned sultan. So he was one of the most educated sultan among all the Delhi sultans, and his title was Ulugh Khan, which he received from Ghiyasuddin. He was a scholar of art, philosophy, astronomy, and mathematics, and also a brilliant calligrapher and poet. So he was basically a multi-talented person. He loved the company of learned men. So all the educated people always flocked around him. Historians are divided on his character. Some call him a genius, others a madman or the wisest fool. So there is a debate among the historians regarding his character. Some people view him as a very educated genius and some people view him as a fool. His personality presented contradictions. He was wise but failed in execution. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq was a very contradictory character because even though he was very educated, all of his projects were failures. His policies, though well intended, failed due to poor planning and execution. So, all of his policies, even though they were the intention of all his projects was the welfare of the people, but because of poor planning and bad execution, all his projects were failures. His actions led to discontent and he was seen as a failed ruler. So he was viewed as a failed ruler in Delhi Sultanate history. Despite being innovative, his projects always ended in failure. Raising taxes in the Doab. So we will go through his projects one by one. The first project was raising the taxes in Doab. Now Doab is the region between the land between Ganga and Yamuna river. It is one of the most fertile part of the world. So Muhammad's first administrative step was to raise land tax in the Ganga Yamuna Doab. So when he became the emperor, he raised the tax in the Ganga Yamuna Doab. The tax increase aimed to maintain a huge army. So he did this because he needed money in order to maintain the huge army which was under his control. Doab was a fertile region, making it ideal for tax collection. So he thought that since it is a very fertile region, the people are farming and making a lot of profit. So no matter how much tax I ask, they will be able to pay them. So a famine broke out due to failed rains, leading to a crisis. But unfortunately, a famine broke out in the area. There was drought, rains didn't come that year, and thus the crops failed. Revenue officers showed no mercy and collected taxes ruthlessly. However, strict instructions were given to the revenue officials who showed no mercy, and in order to collect tax, they became ruthless. So peasants suffered losses after sowing their crops due to harsh taxation, and all this resulted in the loss of common peasants. Muhammad set up free kitchens, distributed loans and grains, and improved irrigation. So even though Muhammad understood a bit late, but still he tried to make up the situation by giving some relief measures. He set up free kitchens and distributed loans to the people. Relief came too late. Agriculture in the region was already damaged, but all of his relief measures were useless because it came too late. Thus, raising the taxes in the Doab was a failure. Now, transfer of capital from Delhi to Daulatabad. Now, this is one of the most famous exploits of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Transfer of capital from Delhi to Daulatabad. Decision to shift capital. Muhammad bin Tughlaq decided to move the capital from Delhi to Daulatabad. So Daulatabad was in the Deccan region and Delhi was in the northern part of Indian subcontinent. Delhi had been the capital of the Delhi Sultans for centuries, but Muhammad bin Tughlaq decided to change it. He believed Daulatabad or Devagiri was more centrally located. So according to his estimation, that Daulatabad was in the central part of India. The new location was expected to help suppress revolts and improve control. So this new location would be favorable as a capital because every part of his empire was of equal distance from Daulatabad. The shift was a part of a larger plan to strengthen administrative reach because Delhi, according to Muhammad bin Tughlaq, was in the northern portion. Hence, from Delhi, it was difficult to control the whole of his empire. Muhammad felt it would be easier to govern the entire empire from Daulatabad. He thought Delhi was exposed to invasions and Daulatabad offered better protection. Since Daulatabad was in the interior of the subcontinent, hence a security perspective was also considered because he thought that Daulatabad was in a more secured position than Delhi. He made elaborate preparations before ordering to move. So he made lot of preparations for the long journey to Daulatabad. Though ambitious, the plan was based on sound geographical reasoning. So this plan was more or less, it seems like it was a very good plan considering the geography of Daulatabad. But what happened? He decided to transfer the entire population. Not only him, he decided to uplift the whole city of Delhi along with all its population and move to Daulatabad. So fear of Mongols. One of the main reasons behind this migration was the fear of Mongols. Muhammad feared a Mongol invasion and thought Delhi was unsafe. So according to Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Delhi was one of the unsafe part of the world. Why? Because of the Mongol invasions. By this time, the Mongol Empire in Central Asia was very strong, and the only part of the world which they couldn't conquer until that time was India. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq feared that they will come to Delhi and they will uproot the Delhi Sultanate. Hence, he feared Mongol invasion and thus he decided to move southwards towards the Deccan. He ordered the entire population along with officials to migrate to Daulatabad. So he will not go with his officials only. He ordered the entire population to move. Roads were lined with trees, shelters were built, and food and water were provided. So he also organized few welfare measures during this campaign, such as trees were lined on the roads, shelters were built, and also there was ample amount of food and water. The journey to Daulatabad was about 1300 kilometers long. In those days, traveling mostly by foot, it was a huge distance. Many people died en route due to lengthy and harsh journey. So many people died on the way because it was a very long journey. Survivors were homesick and unable to adapt to the new environment. The survivors, ultimately the people who reached Daulatabad, they were not being able to adapt to the new environment. While he was in Daulatabad, Delhi became exposed to Mongol attacks. So he didn't think of this. In fear of Mongol attacks, he moved to Daulatabad, but he couldn't realize that if he moves to Daulatabad, Delhi will be totally exposed to Mongol attacks. He realized his mistake and ordered everyone to return, leading to huge financial loss. So when he realized his mistake, he again told to journey back to Delhi uh, in the same way that they had come. So again in the return journey, many people perished. Thus, a foolish plan was executed in a very like ruthless manner. Token currency. Now this was another scheme by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So introduction of token coins. In 1329 to 1330 CE, Muhammad introduced token currency of copper and bronze coins. So he introduced currency of copper and bronze coins. He took this idea from Chinese and Iranian example. So as we know, he was a very learned man, so he had global knowledge. Hence he took this idea from Chinese and Iranian states, the idea of token coins. So these coins had same value as pure silver coin. He, because of some reason, declared that copper and bronze coins are of equal value to silver coins, which was very foolish concept. They could be exchanged for silver coins anytime at the royal treasury. So if I, being a citizen of Delhi Sultanate, I have copper and bronze coins, I will take those copper and bronze coins and go to the emperor, and the emperor's officers will give me silver coin in exchange. That was his theory, because silver coin, copper is equal to copper and bronze coins according to Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So this reform was aimed at resolving the financial crisis. Though progressive, the idea was ahead of its time, but the idea was a total failure because it was no way applicable to the country of India, and it failed because of faulty implementation and lack of safeguards. So there were no limitations of how much coin could be exchanged, what kind of coin could be exchanged, and thus the whole idea was a failure. The experiment eventually caused severe damage to economy and prestige of the Sultan. So the experiment was totally a loss for the treasury of the Delhi Sultanate. Why was the experiment failure? Reasons and result of the experiment. The experiment of token currency. A global shortage of silver prompted the use of token currency. So why was token currency introduced? It was introduced because there was a global shortage of silver coins all over the world. It was also a measure to address the state's financial crisis due to failed projects. So before this, two projects of Muhammad bin Tughlaq had already failed. That is taxation of the Dawab and moving of the capital. So those two projects had drained the treasury of its resources. So it was this experiment of token currency was a measure adopted in order to make up the treasury of Sultan. So the Sultan failed to ensure that minting coins was a government monopoly. But Sultan did not say that only the coins minted by the government could be exchanged. So what happened? There was no monopoly in the making of coins. Hence, I can make a coin in my house using copper from utensils, using copper from anywhere, using bronze from anywhere. I can make a copper in my own house and take it to the emperor's officials, and they are bound to give me silver in exchange for the fake coin that I will provide them. Hence, people started making fake coins at home using brass and copper. So people started minting fake coins as much as they could, because in exchange of those fake coins they could get silver coins. The coin designs were easy to copy by local craftsmen, and local the design of coin was also very simple, not at all complicated. So anyone who had a limited knowledge in metal craft could cast those coins. Any local craftsman could make those coins. So the kingdom was flooded with fake coins affecting trade and taxation. Thus, the kingdom was flooded with fake coins which were not made by the government, and taxation and trade was hugely affected. Foreign merchants refused to accept these coins, collapsing trade. So there was a loss of trust. Foreign merchants couldn't believe in this method, and they refused to accept these fake coins. The treasury was emptied as people exchanged fake coins for silver. So emperor's treasury was filled with fake coins, and all the silver which was there as property of the emperor were given to the people in exchange for those fake coins. Expansion schemes. He also tried to expand his territories. How? Muhammad bin Tughlaq wanted to be a world ruler. He wanted to conquer the whole known world. He planned to conquer Iran, Khurasan, and Iraq. So these are the Central Asian states which he had aimed to conquer. A huge army was raised and paid a year's salary in advance, which was itself a huge mistake because a year's salary was a great cost for the emperor's coffers. So the huge army was raised and they were paid a year's salary in advance. He realized it would be difficult for the army to cross the Himalayan passes. So, to cross the Himalayan passes and go to Iran, Khurasan, and Iraq was very much difficult for the army. The campaign was soon abandoned due to impracticality. So, after paying 1 year's advance salary, he abandoned the campaign because he did not consider the geography of northwestern part of India. The project wasted a large amount of money from the state treasury. So, without any doubt, it was a total project full with only expenditure, no profit. So the army suffered heavy losses and only 10 soldiers survived. So only 10 soldiers returned from the campaign. His expansion plans reflected his over ambitious nature. So he did not take practicality into consideration. Effects of these projects. What happened because of all these failures? Economic loss. All the failed projects led to a massive drain on the state treasury. So, state treasury suffered a loss because of all these projects. The Sultan's prestige suffered, leading to widespread discontent. So, the Sultan was not at all taken seriously by the people because of these foolish repeated failures. Revolts erupted in Bengal, Malabar, and Telangana. Southern kingdoms slipped from control. So, because of his weak measures and because of the financial losses he had faced, he had lost all his power and prestige. Thus, important provinces, mainly the southern kingdoms, were getting away from his control. Rajput rulers of Ranthambore and Mewar recovered their territories. So, the Rajputs became independent, mainly the Rajput rulers of Ranthambore and Mewar. The Vijayanagar kingdom and the Bahmani empire rose in Deccan. So these were the people who were under the Delhi Sultanate. But seeing the condition of the empire during Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the Vijayanagar kingdom and Bahmani empire became independent rulers. Historians believe his failures were due to the time conditions, not personal incapability. So, according to many historians, all his schemes were actually very much like innovative and good for the people, but because of his bad luck and because of all the schemes being ahead of his time, he was unsuccessful. It was not his personal incapability. People were not receptive to reforms and new ideas. That was the reason given by many historians. So the ulema opposed him since he didn't allow them to influence the government. The ulemas did not support the religious heads of the Islam religion in India did not support Muhammad bin Tughlaq because he did not allow the ulemas to indulge in the interferences in the functionalities of the government. Muhammad bin Tughlaq died in 1351, leaving the Delhi Sultanate in decay. So when Muhammad bin Tughlaq died, the situation of Delhi Sultanate was not at all good. Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Firoz Shah Tughlaq was the next important ruler after Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq was succeeded by his cousin Firoz Shah Tughlaq, who ruled for nearly 3 decades for more than 3 decades actually, 51 to 88 CE, 1351 to 88 CE. He was nominated by the nobles and ulemas. So he was nominated by the officials of the Delhi Sultanate and also the religious leaders in the Delhi Sultanate. Firoz Shah was a peace-loving, just and benevolent ruler. So he was a very well calculated and capable ruler who brought peace to the empire after Muhammad bin Tughlaq. His name shines in the field of architecture. He undertook several public welfare schemes for his subjects. So he did a lot of public welfare for the people in his kingdom. He led gardens, built schools, and constructed canals for irrigation. So these are the public works done by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. He ruled for 37 years from 1351 to 1388. So for almost 4 decades he ruled over the Delhi Sultanate. He is remembered for his economic reforms and schemes to improve the lives of his people. Now we will see all his achievements one by one. Economic measures. So what were the economic measures taken by Firoz Shah Tughlaq? Revenue policy changes. Firoz Shah Tughlaq changed the tax system to protect peasants. So his tax collection system was mainly considerate towards the farmers, towards the poor farmers, and no way he hampered the earning and livelihood of the peasants. He assessed tax based on crop type and area under cultivation. So all his taxation was done based on what type of crop the kingdom produced and how much of area was under cultivation. So it was very well calculated. He reduced the land tax and imposed it only on the actual cultivator. So everyone who has land did not have to pay tax. Only the people who were cultivators, who cultivated in the land, they had to pay tax. He dug several canals to irrigate agricultural lands. So water is the most essential thing in agriculture, and he made sure to dig several canals to irrigate agricultural lands. He abolished 24 kinds of taxes that were unfair. So he sat with the tax system, he organized it, and in that organization process, he abolished 24 kinds of taxation which, according to him, were unfair to the common people. He gave land grants to scholars and religious leaders. So he also valued education. His policies improved the economic condition of farmers and reduced their burden. Welfare measures. Now, what were the beneficial activities he did for the common people? Those were the welfare measures. Hospital and shelter construction. He constructed hospitals, sarais, and free kitchens for the poor. Sarais are water tanks. So he did all these for the poor people. He created department of charity called Diwan-e-Khairat. So Diwan-e-Khairat was the department which concerned itself with charitable donations. He provided employment to 1,80,000 slaves. So 1,80,000 slaves were working under him, and all of them were paid. Slaves should not be slaves in Indian subcontinent should not be confused with the slavery in Europe. These slaves were actually paid workers. He opened schools and colleges for education and learning. So he supported educational activities. Jobs were given to unemployed people. So many unemployed people received their source of livelihood because of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. He provided dowries for poor girls and took care of their welfare. In those days, in order to get married, the girl's family or the bride's family had to pay dowry to the groom's family, which was unfortunately a very bad practice. And so but he didn't change the practice because according to those times it was the norm and the emperor couldn't interfere. So what he did, he provided dowries for poor girls and helped in their marriage. His welfare schemes helped improve the lives of common people. Learning and architectural achievements. So what were the learning and architectural achievements of Firoz Shah Tughlaq? Architectural works. He built several gardens, canals, mosques, and public buildings. So he built a lot of infrastructural facilities for the poor people and for the common people in general. So he founded cities like Firozabad, Jaunpur in Uttar Pradesh, and Fatehabad and Hisar in modern day Haryana. So these were famous cities which were founded by Firoz Shah Tughlaq, and most of these cities are still existing very much properly even today. Several tombs and monuments were constructed by him, and those tombs and monuments still exist today. He encouraged the writing of books and promoted scholars. So he supported educational activities by giving patronage or offering patronage to educated people. Sanskrit books were translated into Persian during his rule. So this is one of the instances of religious tolerance we can see during the time of Firoz Shah Tughlaq, where Sanskrit books were translated into Persian. He maintained libraries and supported scholars and religious men. So he maintained bookstore houses called libraries and also supported scholars and spiritual people in his kingdom. Judicial reforms. What were the judicial reforms incorporated by Firoz Shah Tughlaq? So Firoz Shah was known for being just and impartial. He was totally impartial while giving judgments. He abolished inhuman punishments and torture. So inhuman punishments were not the system during the time of Firoz Shah. He introduced lighter punishments in place of cruel ones. So all the cruel punishments were taken off and replaced by lighter punishments. Judges called Qazis were appointed to deliver justice. So he appointed judges all over his empire who saw to the judicial reforms. He followed Islamic law, which is Sharia, and consulted religious texts. So the law books were mainly religious. Efforts were made to ensure timely and fair justice to all people. Now, assessment of Firoz Shah and the decline of Delhi Sultanate. So, no military interest. This was one of the negative aspects of Firoz Shah Tughlaq, that he did not pay any attention to the army or military campaigns. So, during his rule, Bengal, Deccan, and southern India slipped out of control, and he made no efforts to bring them back. He relied heavily on nobles and the ulemas. So all his power was based on his relationship with the nobles and the ulemas. After Firoz Shah's death, weak rulers came to power. After Firoz Shah, as such, there was no strong ruler in the Delhi Sultanate. Several rebellions took place in different parts of the empire. Different parts of the empire, people were protesting against the Delhi Sultanate. The central authority weakened and the empire began to fall apart. Eventually, Khizr Khan founded the Shayyad dynasty in Delhi. Invasion of Timur. So Timur was one of the invaders in India. Now who was he and how did he invade? Amir Timur, the Mongol ruler of Samarkand, invaded India in 1398 CE. So Amir Timur invaded India after the death of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. He was a Mongol ruler of Samarkand. Samarkand is in present day Afghanistan. So the Delhi Sultanate had weakened by that time. By that time, there was no prominent ruler or strong ruler in the Delhi Sultanate. Sultan Nasiruddin Muhammad was the ruler during the invasion. He was a very weak ruler. So there was no proper resistance to Timur's army. So no one could resist or no one could challenge the authority of Timur. Delhi was looted and thousands of people were massacred. Delhi was totally under the control of Timur, and thousands of people were killed during the invasion of Timur. Delhi and neighboring regions were destroyed and the Sultanate declined as a result of this invasion. Timur appointed Khizr Khan as the governor of Delhi and left. So he conquered Delhi, appointed his own person named Khizr Khan as the governor of Delhi, and he left Delhi. Khizr Khan later established the Sayyid dynasty in 1414 CE. In our next video, we are going to see about the Sayyid and the Lodhi dynasties. So that was all. Now we will go through the questions and answers which will help you to understand this chapter better. Who was the founder of the Tughlaq dynasty? How did he die? Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was the founder of the Tughlaq dynasty in CE 1323 to 24. While returning from a successful campaign of Bengal, he accidentally died when the roof of the reception hall collapsed over his head. The hall was built by his son Jauna Khan in celebration of the Sultan's victory. What was the real name of Muhammad bin Tughlaq and when did he become the Sultan? The real name of Muhammad bin Tughlaq was Jauna Khan. He became the Sultan under the title of Muhammad bin Tughlaq in 1325 CE after the death of his father Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Why is Muhammad bin Tughlaq regarded as one of the most learned scholars of the Delhi Sultanate? Muhammad bin Tughlaq was the most learned sultan of the Delhi Sultanate. His intellectual curiosity and thirst for knowledge were boundless. Gifted with extraordinary memory, he was a lover of art, a cultured scholar of philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, and physical sciences, a brilliant calligrapher, and a fairly good poet. He loved the company of learned men. Why did Muhammad bin Tughlaq enhance the land tax in the Doab region? Give the reasons for his failure of this step. Muhammad's first administrative measure was to enhance the land tax in the Ganga Yamuna Doab in order to maintain a huge army. Unfortunately, the rain failed and a severe famine broke out. As a result, people refused to pay taxes, the revenue officers showed no mercy and continued to collect the tax ruthlessly. Relief measures came too late and the agriculture of the Doab area had suffered considerably. Why did Muhammad bin Tughlaq decide to transfer his capital from Delhi to Daulatabad? Muhammad bin Tughlaq believed that Daulatabad or Devagiri was most centrally located. As a result, it would help the Sultan to easily control and suppress the revolts in any area of the empire. He thought the new capital would offer strategic and administrative advantages. Discuss the reasons for the introduction of the token currency by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. One possible reason for this experiment was the worldwide shortage of silver at that time. It is also believed that the experiment was an attempt to overcome the financial crisis. His failed projects had drained the state exchequer. Hence, Muhammad bin Tughlaq introduced a token currency of copper and bronze coins. Why did the experiment of token currency fail? The experiment was a major failure because the Sultan took no steps to ensure that minting of coins was the monopoly of the government. The designs were simple and easy to copy. Brass and copper were easily available, and people began minting coins at home. The kingdom was flooded with forged coins, and trade suffered as foreign merchants refused to accept them. The treasury became empty, and people exchanged fake coins for silver ones. Why did Muhammad bin Tughlaq's scheme of becoming a world ruler fail? To realize his dream of becoming a world ruler, Muhammad bin Tughlaq raised a huge army and decided to conquer areas of Iran, Khorasan, and Iraq. However, he soon realized the impracticality of the campaign. The army could not cross the snowy Himalayan passes. The plan was abandoned, leading to wastage of money and heavy casualties. Only 10 soldiers survived. Discuss the welfare measures taken by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Firoz Shah Tughlaq undertook several welfare measures. He constructed hospitals, sarais, and free kitchens. A department of charity called Diwan-e-Khairat was created. He provided employment to 1,80,000 slaves. Schools and colleges were opened, and unemployed people were given jobs. He supported poor girls by arranging dowries and took steps to help the underprivileged. Mention Firoz Shah's contribution in the field of architecture. Firoz Shah led gardens, built mosques, canals, and other public buildings. He also built new towns like Firozabad, Jaunpur, Fatehabad, and Hissar. Many monuments built by him still exist and show his interest in architecture. Write a note on the invasion of Timur and its effect. Amir Taimur, the Mongol ruler of Samarkand, invaded India in 1398 during the reign of Sultan Nasiruddin Muhammad. The Delhi Sultanate was weak and unprepared. Taimur massacred thousands and looted Delhi. The city and neighboring regions were devastated. He appointed Khizr Khan as the governor and returned to Samarkand. The invasion further weakened the Sultanate and led to the rise of Shayyad dynasty. Name the dynasty which succeeded the Tughlaqs. The Shayyad dynasty succeeded the Tughlaqs. Khizr Khan established this dynasty in Delhi after the invasion of Timur. So that was all about the Tughlaqs. We have mainly discussed the two important Tughlaq rulers, starting with Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, then his son Muhammad bin Tughlaq, who was important mainly because of his failures. We have discussed his failed projects like the raising of tax in the Doab region, transfer of capital, introduction of token currency, and expansion of his empire in order to fulfill his dream as a world ruler. We have also seen how his cousin Firoz Shah Tughlaq developed the Delhi Sultanate and somehow reformed it to be the last powerful seat of the Delhi Sultanate. We have also seen how the invasion of Timur further weakened the throne. So that was all about the Tughlaqs. In our next video, we will discuss about the Shayyads and the Lodhis. Please support me so that I can bring brighter contents in future. Thank you for your patience.